Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit of news, some stuff coming up on the horizon, and then the final 2 episodes of Season 1 of Ms. Marvel, and the final 2 episodes of Season 3 of The Boys. So that's what we're going to be covering this week. Let's kick things off with On Beat. On Beat is, of course, our news segment, and we're starting this off with Thor, Love and Thunder, which hit $143 million for its opening weekend.
That's pretty good. I'm looking, it's the 3rd biggest opening of the year behind Doctor Strange 2 and Jurassic World. That's weird, though. I thought Top Gun, that didn't have a bigger opening?
Nope.
Okay.
It's Doctor Strange 2 and Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic World Dominion just barely beat it out. Top Gun did well, but it didn't do as strong in its opening week.
I see. Okay.
So, from further perspective, again, this is $143 million for the opening weekend. Ragnarok did $123 million. So it did $20 million more than the previous Thor movie.
Yeah.
This movie had a $250 million budget, and it made $302 million global. There's a $100 million promotional budget, so it would be $350 million would be like the total budget with the budget of the movie and promotion. And it's already made $302 million globally. So it's almost recovered its entire budget.
Wow.
That's ending on Sunday, so that's not counting the 3 days since then. Any numbers it's done since then globally. It might have already earned back its budget. But yeah, that's Thor Love and Thunder numbers. It got a pretty low critical review aggregate. I saw it, and I'm not going to go into like spoilers or anything, obviously, but I think it's getting a bit of a bad rap. I think a lot of the complaints I'm seeing of the movie, it's like if you went into this movie thinking that that was not going to be the case, then I guess you didn't watch Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Or didn't see any of the trailers for this movie. I don't know. And then, of course, amongst a lot of the negative feedback has also been just a bunch of Cult of Snyder people that are using any opportunity to hate on anything that isn't Zack Snyder.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I think it's a really funny movie. It's got a few really heartwarming moments. Gore the God Butcher is a great villain. The biggest, true complaint I've seen about the movie is that there isn't enough gore. I'd agree with that. But yeah, I can't wait till you see it so we can discuss it.
Yeah, it'll be great.
That'll come down the line when that hits Disney Plus. Our next news story is that we finally have a director for Captain America 4. It's going to be Julius Onah, who is a Nigerian director. He did the Cloverfield Paradox. I believe, wasn't that the one that went straight to Netflix? It was announced and then came out immediately after the Super Bowl or something.
Yeah, it was that movie. I haven't seen it. I actually haven't watched any of the Cloverfield films. Whoops.
Same here. I just remember there was a big thing where they did a Super Bowl ad for the movie, and then it came out immediately after the Super Bowl. It was a surprise. Nobody knew the movie existed, and then all of a sudden it's holy shit, there's a new Cloverfield movie, and it's out now? It was the equivalent of a Nintendo Direct Shadow Drop.
I'm not familiar with his work, but it's cool. I'm going to watch Captain America 4 when it comes out. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
So of course still being written by Malcolm Spellman, who did Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is his Captain America, so he's going to continue on with it. That's kind of what Marvel tends to do, is they pick a person to kind of handle a segment of the universe, and then they're like the boss of that segment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So that is it for the regular news. And then we had quite a few trailers that have come out that we're going to discuss. First up, Harley Quinn Season 3. You haven't seen Harley Quinn, have you?
I haven't watched any of that, no.
Man, I'm looking forward to Season 3. There was a bit of a hubbub, if you remember, around that was the whole Batman not going down on Catwoman thing or something.
Oh, yeah, they said that. Well, I remember because, I think a writer on the show said that Warner Brothers wouldn't allow them to depict that.
Yeah.
And that started a whole thing.
Yeah. That was for Harley Quinn season 3. So yeah, trailer for that. Now that's coming up. Maybe Warner Brothers changed their mind.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Day Shift. This is this new vampire movie.
Yeah, that looks cool. And watching the trailer, like not knowing anything about the movie, like going into it, like that was like a pretty cool twist at the beginning because it really made it look like, oh, okay, so like this is like a crime thriller. It's like, oh shit, no, it's vampires. It's kind of an interesting premise, treating vampires as this known thing, and they're bounty hunters that go after vampires for the bounties. Kind of neat. I like it. It's
kind of like that whole, what was that series I watched, Killing It on Peacock, where they have to kill all the pythons because they're an invasive species.
Oh,
that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like vampires are like an invasive species, so you just kill them and bring in the fangs and then get money.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting take on it, so I'm looking forward to watching that.
Looks like it's kind of doing for vampires what Zombieland did for zombies. Because it's got like a real comedic bent to it.
Yeah, that's coming on August 12th. Then we got a trailer for a movie we saw like another trailer or a teaser for before and didn't know what the concept was really. We just saw like something with Patton Oswalt and that was all we really knew.
Yeah.
But now we got the trailer for I Love My Dad, and Jesus Christ, what a creepy.
Oh God. I gotta say, like, this is the first movie trailer that like genuinely made me uncomfortable through the whole thing. I was like, oh God, what is happening? I don't know if I can sit down and watch this movie. It's cringe comedy, but it's like, it's to the extreme.
Yeah, extreme cringe comedy. And basically in this, it's Patton Oswalt plays a father who is cut out of the life of his son because his son didn't think he was there for him enough when he's in, I think it's like Alcoholics Anonymous or something.
Right.
And so he cuts his dad from his life, and his dad is looking for a way to get back into his life and talks to one of his friends, and his friends basically told him about how when his ex-girlfriend or something had left him, he had created like a fake profile as a way to like get into their life without directly being in their life, just through like social that way. And so he does the same thing, except ends up getting like his son like falling in love with him over social media, not knowing it's actually his dad, thinking it's some woman that he was using the pictures of. But man, it's just disturbing. I'm laughing out of discomfort right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm curious what people are going to say about this, but I'm with you. Like, I don't know if I could sit through this movie. It looks like pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, right.
Our next trailer up, we finally got a real trailer for the Munsters. This is the Rob Zombie remake of the Munsters. It kind of harkens back heavily to the silly original TV series rather than trying to kind of like do something more modern.
Stylistically, he's definitely going for the sitcom vibe, the vibe of like the original 60s series. People point out like it looks low budget, it looks unpolished. I think that's all on purpose.
Yeah, that like seems very intentional.
This is intentionally camp. This is going to be the type of thing that when it comes up, people are either going to despise it or there's going to be a segment that absolutely loves this and it's going to become like a cult classic. I don't see it going like any other way. It's either like going to be universally despised or become a cult classic.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's not going to become a surprise hit or a groundbreaking film of any sort. It's either going to be a cult classic or nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it might be a bit too cheese for me, a bit too kind of with that low budget look. Like, I don't mind like going in that campy direction, but it might have gone too far for my personal taste. But I don't know. I might watch it. I have a movie subscription, so if it comes to the theater by me, it might just be worth checking out just because it's there, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Something to get out of the heat. Enjoy the air conditioning in the theater.
It's Rob Zombie. I think everything he's done has at least been interesting, even the disasters, or at least interesting disasters. So I'm willing to give it a shot.
All right. So that's the Munsters coming in September. Then finally, we got the trailer we've been waiting for, a game trailer. Something that I had predicted would be in the recent Nintendo Partners Direct, but wasn't.
No.
And it should have been.
It's part of the new Nintendo Direct Nintendo's doing. 1 month of new announcements.
Just randomly shadow dropped. Yeah. Yeah.
A shadow drop, yeah. It's Nintendo July.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Well, we got like the Splatoon OLED announced. And then we got the Kirby game shadow dropped yesterday, and then this dropped today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird. But we finally got a trailer for Bayonetta 3 that's a bit more detailed than the last tease that we got. And it's a date trailer. And so we got the date confirmation of October 28th. So what did you think of the trailer?
I loved it. It looks fantastic. I love that they're expanding the lore right now. They got a new enemy type, the homunculi, which seem to be man-made enemies. They got a brand new character, this sort of like punk rock looking girl. Like, it looks really cool. It looks good. Oh, yeah. They added a new mode. Now you can hide the nudity if you're embarrassed.
Yes.
They called it naive angel mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's hilarious. There's
really
already like anti-censorship people bitching about this mode.
Why?
And it's like, it's optional. Well, no, it's just the idea of like, even its existence, destroys the purity of the artistic vision of
Sure, Jan. If the people making the game thought like that ruined their artistic vision, they're the one putting that in there.
Yeah. I'm anti-censorship, but for me, that ends it being able to watch the original version or play the original version. Right, as long as I can play the original version, I don't care if there's a censored version. That's always been my position. But there are people already objecting to it. It's kind of funny because I saw somebody post about it on the Game Witness Discord channel that we both use. And they said, at least now there's not going to be any like censorship nuts going after it. And I'm like, too late.
Yeah, too late. It's not enough that I can see the nudity. Everybody should be forced to see the nudity.
Yeah.
Okay. If you use naive angel mode, you not only cheated the game, but you cheated yourself. You did not grow. You did not learn.
It's just funny though. But that is it for our On Beat segment. Next we have On the Horizon. On the Horizon is, of course, where we talk about stuff that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start with Tuesday, July 19th, which is the date that Stray comes to the PS4, PS5, and PC. You have any interest in this game?
Yeah, that game looks pretty neat. You play as a cat, and apparently, like, it's a post-apocalyptic world that's dominated by robots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what your goal is, but I mean, it looks really cool. Obviously involves being a cat. I saw this thing, like, you can scratch walls to uncover like secrets. It looks really cute. Looks really neat. I'll definitely check it out.
They're going for a more like beautiful, like somber kind of tone for this.
Yeah.
I think it'd be funny if they just made it straight up like Untitled Goose Game, but with a cat and robots in the world.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're just going around pissing off robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up on Thursday, July 21st, we have River City Saga 3 Kingdoms hitting PS4, PC, and Switch. This is basically River City Ransom or River City Girls, but with a 3 Kingdoms theme.
Yes. So that's really cool.
As somebody who really doesn't play either of those type of games much, I don't really know, but it's just kind of funny seeing all the 3 Kingdoms archetype characters, the historical characters in that River City thug style, you know?
Right, yeah. The Kunio-kun style.
Yeah, they all look like that one sidekick from Yu Yu Hakusho. I can't remember the guy's name, but...
Oh, yeah. Now it's on the tip of my tongue.
Kubara or something like that, or what?
Kuwabara,
that's it. All right, next we have on Thursday, July 21st, also on Thursday, July 21st, American Horror Stories comes to Hulu. This is kind of like a spin-off of American Horror Story, except every episode is like an individual story.
Yeah, so this is more like classic anthology series, like obviously
Twilight Zone, Black
Mirror, Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Or like, every episode is its own self-contained story. I don't know. I really haven't watched much American Horror Stories. I watched the first 2 or so seasons.
I liked the first season and the third season. I thought the second season was okay and everything else was trash to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how this would be though, because one of the problems with the series is that it just starts to get like overly convoluted and messy in a way that like doesn't have any impact anymore. That seems to be the main issue with the series. So maybe
which is
doing episodic, anthology episodes is going to help that.
Right. Yeah.
So next up we have The Gray Man coming on Friday, July 22nd
that looks
on
really
Netflix.
Fun. That looks like a really fun movie. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, we've talked about with previous trailers and announcements and stuff about it. If you don't know, this is the new Russo brothers movie. They did Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War.
It stars Captain America and Ken from the Barbie movie, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to see Chris Evans from Captain America as like a villain.
Yeah.
With like a really creepy mustache and.
Yeah. The creepy villain mustache.
Yeah.
Chris Evans villain stash.
Just kind of high action, like semi-espionage, I guess, but mostly like just assassin kind of story. Looks cool.
Kind of taking like the action and like the tone and stuff of Winter Soldier, but without a Marvel license.
Yeah. Next up, we have Live Alive, also hitting on Friday, July 22nd. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Obviously, this is a remake of a Super Famicom RPG Square did in the late 90s that was
never came to the West, yeah.
Never came to the West. There were fan translations.
Yeah.
But officially, no. And this is being
I'm not
remade.
into emulation. That's the only reason I haven't played this game. This is that game from the SNES era that I always wanted to play.
I gotta tell you, like, as much as the Super Nintendo is like a treasure trove of RPGs, what we got over here for RPGs on the Super Nintendo is just the tip of the iceberg of what actually exists. There are tons of RPGs for the Super Famicom in Japan that never got translated.
This was the crazy one, though, for me. This was the RPG for the Super Famicom that I really wanted to play. And, was never able to. And I'd always kind of thought about it. I experimented a little bit with emulation and just really didn't enjoy the experience of it. And so I just never got that far into it. And then I kind of had just resigned myself. Like, I'm just never going to play that game. It's just one of those games I'll never play.
And then Square, in a fit of insanity, decided to randomly remake it in HD 2D for the Switch.
Yes. And it was like a moment of beauty when that trailer dropped. And once I realized what it was, because I've never played the game, but I've seen enough of it that I was able to pick up on what it was before the title came up. And I was like, oh shit, this is Live Alive.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this coming on Friday, July 22nd on Nintendo Switch. And then also on Friday, July 22nd, Nope hits theaters. This is the new Jordan Peele movie. And we talked about the last trailer for it came out, and we were talking about how we finally now kind of know what the plot is, the general plot.
We got like a good idea of the general plot, barring any twist to, what they showed us, obviously.
Yeah, it looks interesting, and it looks like it's going to be another hit for Jordan Peele. So July 22nd, quite a few good things between The Gray Man, Live Alive, and Nope. And that is it for our On the Horizon segment, and that leaves us with our final segment, full spoilers. Today we're going to be talking about Ms. Marvel and The Boys. We're going to kick things off with Ms. Marvel. We're talking about Season 1, Episode 5, Time and Again, and Season 1, Episode 6, No Normal. Time and Again takes place in the past. It has Kamala in it only at the very end. Yeah. We'd seen in the previous episode that she had gone back in time, and then it cuts further back in time in this episode and focuses on the kind of the events involving the partition. And
this goes over
India and Pakistan.
The stuff in Kamala's family's past that was only discussed previously. Now we're seeing it happen in real time. With the partition, we find, I believe he's supposed to be like Kamala's great-grandfather?
Her great-grandmother Aisha and great-grandfather Hassan.
Yeah, they're supposed to be her great-grandparents. Aisha, obviously, is a clandestine, so she just appears from her realm in that area where Kamala's great-grandfather finds her, and then they strike up a relationship. They obviously get married. They have a child, a daughter, while this
Kamala's
is going
grandmother.
on. Eventually get to the point where, like, they have to flee because the strife that's happening around them. And then we get to the whole story about the train and how Kamala's grandmother got separated and had to find her way back to the train magically by following stars. We get to that point. We find out Aisha, at the train station, she's confronted by the main villain. Najma, yes. Who she talked to earlier. But Najma's mad because, she's running away from her home and from the clandestines. So she stabs her and basically seals Aisha's fate. Then we get to the point where Ms. Miss Marvel comes back into the story because she time traveled at the beginning of the episode.
The end of the last episode.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, right? So she comes in, and I'm always annoyed by this trope when I see it in a show. And it's a trope where, like, we're told about...
I did it all along.
Yeah, I did it all. It was me all along trope, which was basically, protagonists learn there's a significant event that happened in the protagonist's past that shaped the present. And then time travel shenanigans happen, and it turns out those events were caused by the protagonist. That's what happens here, because it turns out the stars that her grandmother remembers following to the train were just Miss Marvel using her powers to help because she time traveled.
I don't mind that trope. I just think that it didn't work here. Like, it's all about, I think when you do that kind of a trope, you have to set it up in a way that it should seem obvious, but it doesn't, because you properly kind of discombobulated the audience's perception of what's going on.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
true.
when that reveal happens, it's like, holy shit. And it's like a really cool reveal. They don't even
do that here. Yeah.
And if you don't do it properly, then it's like the second Kamala showed up and all the shit was going on train, it's like, oh, okay, so it's her.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because
so
they set it up to like where like the breadcrumbs are already set up for when you originally hear about the incident, and then if you're able to kind of like make sense of it. But I generally hate it because it makes the protagonist more self-important to their own story than they need to be. And also, like, it just creates like this ridiculous paradox that you can't logically resolve. Because if the protagonist is a result of these events happening, and then they cause the events, that's an unresolvable paradox.
That's also what they've done. That's also what they set up with Endgame, with Marvel,
I know.
The idea that time travel already happened kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did. With that.
What happened already happened.
Right.
They did something similar in Lost too, the idea that like, as the person time traveling, what you do, like, you can be affected by things. Like, you could die. These things could happen to you, but you couldn't affect what happens to other people. Like, if you do affect it, it's because it was always supposed to be affected.
Right.
So it's done a lot. It's one way of tackling time travel. I don't object to it, as you're saying you do, but I just think it wasn't really done well here. And this comes down to, and I've talked about this, I think, on the show, but definitely to you, I've talked to you about it. I think my biggest issue with Ms. Marvel is that it feels like the people who are making this really just want to do a story like a partition story.
Yeah.
And a family drama.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff is good. And then whenever they're like, it's almost like there's a certain point in each episode or each couple of episodes where like the showrunners are sitting there and they're working out their story, and then they're like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot this is a Marvel show. Well, we need to throw in some Marvel shit. And then that stuff just doesn't not work. It just feels like weak.
Well, it's half-baked. The Marvel stuff is half-baked.
It's like they don't care about it. They're just putting it in because they have to.
And you can see this because Kamala herself and her immediate family are so wonderfully well written, and they work off of each other so well. The actors are fantastic. The actress I got for Miss Marvel is fantastic. She won me over instantly. But then, like, the further out you get from that sphere of, like, the central family, the weaker the characterizations get. Kamala's friends from school and stuff are, like, they're a little more fleshed out still, but they're more, like, generic high school archetypes. The best friend is literally the nerdy, smart best friend who has a crush on her. And he doesn't have much of a personality, like, outside of that. That's the same. And then the further out you get, the worse it gets. Like, the clandestines themselves are mostly cardboard action figures who just exist to be obstacles and plot devices.
Yeah. They make snap decisions that don't make any sense just because they need a moment of tension in this moment or something. And it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense. It's very, it's very inhuman.
And it's very inhuman. And I was thinking about it. I think what you said was definitely valid, but I think they could have done both things if they had more runtime. And so I'm thinking to myself, they just created a narrative that was way too big for the runtime that they had. It seems to me like they wrote a 22 episode standard story with 6 episodes to them. And you can see this in multiple points. The biggest point is when we first meet the clandestines, and they're kind of introduced as like saving Kamala from damage control. And then you get that scene where they're explaining to Kamala who they are, where they're from, and everything, and what Kamala's connection to everything is. And you kind of get the sense like, oh, are these new allies for Kamala? Are they going to help her? No, they're villains, right? You kind of think, well, or maybe they're secretly villains. You don't get a lot of time to think that because like literally after that scene with Kamala, they suddenly decide for no reason that no, we actually have to go and fight Kamala now.
Everything they do is like a snap decision that makes no sense.
And it's like, why did you have to attack the wedding in Kamala? You had her believing you were their allies. You could have manipulated her into getting what you wanted. And the reason is because the characters can't act rationally because the plot demands it, because we got to move the plot forward. We have to make these characters antagonistic to get the plot moving because we don't have a lot of time here.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
I think, like you say, that if it had more episodes, it would have been better. I don't necessarily think so. I think the people making this show, I think the showrunner and the directors involved in the show just didn't care about that aspect of the story, and it shows.
Because if they had more time, they could have fleshed out the clandestines.
I don't think they would have.
Personality, gave them more personality, gave them more motives, humanized them more, made you more sympathetic.
But I don't think they would have. Like, that's my position, is that I think they just didn't care about that story, and it was only there because they were making a Marvel show, and they had to have that element, and that they didn't give a crap about it. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like Venom in Spider-Man 3, you know? Like, Sony kind of forced it, and that's kind of how it ended up happening. But I mean, in this case, it's a little different because they signed up to do a Marvel show from the very beginning. It's not like this was later put on them. No. I just don't think they cared about that aspect of the story.
It doesn't seem like it. They didn't put like any.
So I don't think having more episodes would have necessarily helped, because I think there's other ways they could have made it work, and they didn't do that because they didn't care either. So that's kind of my position on it, is that they wanted to do a partition story and a family drama-y about, you know, a Pakistani family in America. And that's where they succeeded. And they just kind of, the other stuff was just, well, I guess we signed up for a Marvel project. We have to throw a bone in here and here, you know?
Yeah, we have to have like these villains. We have to have fight scenes. Felt very much going through the motions.
Yeah.
And going into the finale, that weak foundation really hurts the finale. On the surface, it's a perfectly fine finale. It would actually be exciting finale if any of the principles involved in it were like fleshed out and built up before this finale. You got her boyfriend there. At the end of the last episode, the clandestines are killed. They open the veil or whatever, but kills them. And then magic goes into Kamran, and he gets Miss Marvel powers. And then at the end, he's on the run from damage control, who nonsensically blows up a building in the middle of Manhattan, because why not? With a drone, because why
well,
not?
The issue was, in my opinion, it wasn't that they decided to blow up the building. It's that Kamran used his powers.
Yeah.
And that the drone was armed. And that caused the missile to discharge, kind of thing. Not that they said fire the missile, but that when Kamran attacked the drone, it accidentally, that's what I read from it at least, was that it was kind of an accident. It was a screw up, but they should have never had an armed drone just patrolling the city like that with a fucking missile. Like, that shouldn't have been the case.
So my issue going with this is like, this would be exciting, you know, damage control chasing Kamran and Miss Marvel, cornering them at school, big action sequence with the thing. If damage control was presented as a legitimate threat from the get-go and not incompetent, the whole show treated them as like a joke enemy. And also, again, Kamran didn't have much in the way of characterization. Still pretty weak, so like barely cared what was going to happen to him. Like, the best scene in the finale is literally her like revealing herself to her family and her family's reaction, because again, it's genuine and they're so good at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what works. And then you have, like you said, damage control doesn't work. Primarily the character of Agent Deaver, who is just like cartoonishly racist and ignorant and like just the most cartoonish and non-sinister way. She's supposed to be like sinister. It's supposed to be like, oh, this is what you have when you have a xenophobic government agency. That's kind of like the point they're going for. But she's so cartoonish. She's so ignorant. She's so unbelievable that she's not really threatening. Even when she's causing threats, she's still not threatening because she's so cartoonish.
If it's supposed to be satire, it's bad satire.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
And then, you know, you have Kamran, which was another issue for me in the final episode, because he's just like jumping back and forth between being between trying to be good and having his powers go out of control and just actively being evil.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's jumping back and forth, like, all the time.
It's like they gave him these powers, and so the writer's like, oh, now we gotta have him fight Miss Marvel. Oh, but he can't be the villain. But they gotta fight because they got similar powers now. And it's like, what the hell? Just pick a lane for the
so it goes from, like, her going, we need to escape, and him accepting that, to, like, him going overboard with the stuff, to then, like, her stopping him. But instead of that causing the conflict between them, then he continues to go along with her, and then he does something else that causes problems, but this time it's accidental instead of on purpose. It's just like it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a total mess.
And it just doesn't work. You can't get a real bead on his character. It feels like they're trying to go like, oh,
are
this
they
is
villainizing
his heel
him?
turn.
Is this his heel turn? Is he the ultimate final villain of the series?
But they can't commit to it or not commit to it. It's like it's just a mess.
And ultimately they don't commit to it because, like, he agrees to just leave peacefully and then, like, that's it.
Yep. It's just really bad. And it could have been good. It just doesn't work. That's like the best way to put it.
The pieces are there, but the foundation is just, it's crumbled at that point.
Let's talk about kind of the wrap up on this, which is that, her friend Bruno is going away.
Oh, God.
He is going to go to Caltech. He is going away from Kamala and everybody, but he gets the little reveal that, Kamala is actually a mutant.
I hated this reveal. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay. So that's what everybody's going on. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Kamala's a mutant. Like, I don't actually have a problem with that. I know some people do because in the comics, she's an Inhuman. Fine, whatever. It's a change. Her powers were already changed. They want to promote the X-Men. I get it. I'm fine. I'm willing to accept it. That's cool. No problem. The problem is how they did this reveal. And again, they did it in the most haphazard, ham-fisted, forced way that really, like, takes all the wind out of it. Because they had, like, Bruno, like, randomly bring it up to her at the end of before he leaves. Like, he's just like, oh, hey, I casually sequenced your genome and the genomes of your family and found out you have this, like, mutant gene that I can't identify that nobody else has. And then she's just like, oh, cool. And they're like, yeah. And then they get in the car and that's it. And I'm like, what? What is this? Because, like, once you get over the fact that, oh shit, she's a mutant, you start thinking about that scene and you're like, wait, what? How's Bruno even know this? First of all,
it tells me is that the pitch for this show, they said, and then at the end, they're going to find out that Kamala's a mutant. And Kevin Feige said, great. And then they started working on the show and they got to the very end and said, oh shit, we forgot about the mutant thing.
Yeah, we forgot about
How can we throw this in the most ham-fisted way possible?
I know, like, Bruno was portrayed as very intelligent throughout the series because he's making these gadgets, which I could sort of just, like, accept and ignore, like, okay, he's a genius engineer, even though he's making product grade fucking voice activated smart home devices to rival Amazon or whatever in his freaking bedroom, apparently.
And he's like supposed to be really poor too, so it's like,
yeah, he doesn't have any money. So I'm like, okay, fine. But now not only is he an engineer, he's a geneticist, and what equipment did he use to study the DNA? And why isn't he, like, reporting his findings of a brand new gene never discovered in the human genome and, like, claiming a freaking Nobel Prize for himself? It's like, I have so many questions about this. And then, like, Kamala's, like, completely nonchalant attitude to, like, learning this information. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of how the reveal at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy with Peter's DNA went,
Here's how I think this reveal should have been done. It should not have been done in this series. What they should have done is they should have ended the series with Kamala's true nature being a mystery. And then somewhere down the line, I don't know exactly when, but I think in my head, it should be like after they've released the first X-Men movie under Marvel Studios. Sometime after that, the next thing they did with Kamala, they should add like a stinger scene where Professor Charles Xavier confronts her and tells her that Cerebro detected her and that she's a mutant. Because that would make sense. And it would be freaking insane to, like, have that reveal come from, like, Professor X and be like, oh shit, she was a mutant this whole time and Professor X knows and maybe she'll be in the next X-Men movie. They don't get to do that now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Well, they still could because it seemed like Kamala didn't even really register what happened.
The reveal wouldn't have, like, any impact as a reveal, right? Because the reveal's already been done. That's out the bag.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity to do that kind of a reveal much better than they did just because they want to go into promoting the next thing. It's all marketing purposes. It felt like it should have been a really personal moment, but it comes off as like Marvel just winking at the audience, telling the audience, continue consuming Marvel. We got the X-Men coming. It comes off like that.
Let's talk about the actual stinger for this episode.
Yes.
Which it shows Kama, she's laying in bed. She gets up, she suddenly gets like launched through her own like closet door. And then we see somebody get back out of where she had been launched through, but it's not her, it's Captain Marvel.
That confused me. I was confused that was actually Captain Marvel or if she like morphed into like looking exactly
that's what happened
like
in the
Captain
comics.
Marvel. Okay.
No, I mean, like what you're saying, what you thought happened, that she had morphed into it. That's what actually did happen in the comics. Because in the comics, her power set is that she's kind of like a shapeshifter.
Right.
And so she takes on the form of Captain Marvel by accident. Like that's the first thing that when she first uses her powers, she kind of takes on the look.
And it seemed like that's what happened to me because like.
Yeah, that's what I reaction. Thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. So I'm like, oh, so they're like
because her reaction wasn't like, where am I or anything. It's like looking around and like her going, oh crap.
I think the thing is because she looked around, but then she picked up some stuff. She was unaware of it, which is would have been out of character for Kamala to do because that was her own room. So she wouldn't be like, what's this? A picture of Captain Marvel? Like that wouldn't make sense for Ms. Marvel to do because she knows what's in her room, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And so like to me, that says it was Captain Marvel and something happened. And we already 2 episodes ago, we got the idea that that armband could warp her somewhere else, you know, like they did it in time. And apparently now it's done it in space. And,
anyway, that's the stinger that's supposed to lead us into the Marvels, which
comes out in another year. That's like July next year, I think.
Yeah, the sequel to Captain Marvel. That'll be a fun movie for sure. But
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Let's talk about a more exciting superhero project. Yeah. We watched the last 2 episodes of season 3 of The Boys, season 3 episode 7, Here Comes a Candle to Light You to Bed, and season 3 episode 8, The Instant White Hot Wild.
Yes. So episode 7, we got some good stuff in episode 7, right? Episode 7 was full of character moments.
It was all the post-herogasm stuff.
Yes. But I still really enjoyed it, especially the stuff with Black Noir.
Mm-hmm. Where you got to see like his little cartoon pals.
Yeah. Who exist in his head. It was apparently always exist in his head.
At least since puberty, because they mentioned we helped you get through the erection you got when you were, 11 or something or whatever, so they reference it being something early. We don't know how long they've been with him, but at least since like puberty.
Basically, it goes into Black Noir's history with Payback and specifically Soldier Boy.
Black Noir kind of became the Black Noir we know now as like a mutant.
Yeah. Because like it shows exactly what happened in, Venezuela with Payback and like what happened with that team. Because we saw
the previous flashback implied that it was like he got hit by a missile or something from.
Yeah, it implied that like everybody was decimated by the attack from the enemy forces. The real thing was like all the devastation that you've seen, the majority of it was Soldier Boy because it was a manufactured scenario to distract Soldier Boy while Payback took care of him and they got rid of him.
Mm-hmm. And then we get to see that scene told through cartoons with the cartoon characters that are in Black Noir's head acting out the roles, but with the voices of the actual actors. So like Jensen Ackles doing the voice of the cartoon character representing Soldier Boy. And so we got to see all the characters acting it out, and you get to see how much of an asshole Soldier Boy is. Just how much he just ruined Black Noir, and how that led to that capture of Soldier Boy, and how things just went horribly wrong. And everybody got so fucked up from that, including Black Noir straight up losing his current place, basically just becoming a mute, horribly disfigured and disabled tool for Vought.
Right.
And we see kind of the origin of that. We also got the reveal that Soldier Boy has a son that we've known this whole time.
Yeah. Turns out Homelander is Soldier Boy's son.
Yeah.
We also find out like Maeve is still alive. She's being held by Homelander and Vought.
Yeah. Homelander has a creepy scene with her where basically it feels like he's saying he's going to like rape her or something, and she confronts him on that. She says like, I'll break off anything you put in me. And he's like, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't force you, but I am going to harvest your eggs.
Yeah.
And it's like, just equally creepy in that moment. And then
Starlight breaks into Vought Tower to get get more V to help Kamiko, because Kamiko and Frenchie return to the boys.
Yeah, Kamiko decides that she actually wants her powers now.
She wants her powers now. She convinces Starlight to get more V for her. Starlight breaks in, but she's stopped at the elevator by Homelander in a very fantastic scene, because Homelander makes a threat against Huey again. But this time, like, Starlight is recording him, and when she reveals to Homelander she's been recording him, he immediately, like, starts going
Not even
into,
recording, live streaming.
Yeah, live streaming. He starts going into, we were just practicing lines.
It's like, you know you're not supposed to film us while we're running lines.
Yeah. That was a great scene.
It just makes it more obvious now. Like, people know who Homelander is now, basically, because of what Starlight said and what this said. And it's a matter of what they believe or what they care to believe.
Right,
which will come into play later. But also, when Starlight had broken into the thing, she also saw the records for Temp V and saw that it's going to cause, basically, your brain to be like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
And it's after 3 to 5 uses that can occur. And she relays this information to Butcher.
Huey's on his last dose. If he takes one more dose, he's dead.
Yeah. And Butcher's already past that.
Yeah, she relays this to Butcher. It looks like Butcher's going to help Huey, and then, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was the episode 7. This is the episode where Soldier Boy and Huey and Butcher go fight Mindstorm.
Yeah.
Right? So we got the whole sequence with Butcher trapped inside of his own mind. Yeah.
Reliving moments with his brother, and then moments that he didn't experience with his brother, like when his brother killed himself.
Yes.
And how much that has an impact on him. Huey ends up rescuing the guy from Homelander using his teleportation powers and gets him to...
Well, he rescues the guy from Soldier Boy.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Homelander.
Oh, well, Soldier Boy. To get him out of there, he tells him that he'll teleport him away and help him get away from Soldier Boy.
If he helps Butcher.
Yeah, if he helps Butcher get out of his mind prison. He does, and Butcher comes out of it and immediately apologizes to Huey.
And before Huey can keep his promise, Soldier Boy kills Mindstorm. Brutally, too. He puts a bag over his head, tackles him to the ground, and just apparently decapitates him with his shield, off screen.
Yeah, I think this is... I think this is partially a reference to Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the scene with, what's his name?
U.S. Agent?
Yeah, what was he? He was Captain America at the time, but what was that? I can't think of the character's actual name, but anyways, there was a scene with him.
Oh, yeah, he beheaded the one character.
Or just crushed his head,
Or just crushed his head with his shield, yeah.
But we didn't see anything, and here we get it when we see everything,
Yeah, we don't see everything. Some things are censored.
Well, it's in a bag, but you see it happening. Whereas before, you only see it, from kind of this upwards perspective, where you don't actually see anything with the shield coming down.
You see that. Yeah, you see that. And so what makes it interesting, the ending there, is you see Huey risked his life and went out of his way to save Butcher. And then when you get to the end of the episode, when Butcher has a chance to return the favor, he doesn't.
Seemingly doesn't.
He seemingly doesn't. Because in the next episode, we find out
that he seemingly betrays Huey. But then when Huey encounters Starlight and is talking to her, and she brings up the fatal dosage of
because Butcher and Huey and Soldier Boy are on their way to kill Black Noir so that they can finally take out Homelander. Butcher knows that Homelander is Soldier Boy's son. I guess Soldier Boy must have mentioned it. Mm-hmm. But Butcher keeps trying to remind him that, he's not really your son. You didn't raise him. You didn't name him. He was raised in a lab. You have no attachment to him. So just do the job that I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
The job hasn't changed. That's Butcher's line, his refrain, right? and when they're going, they stop off at a convenience store, and he punches Huey and knocks him out of nowhere. And then Starlight picks up Huey, and she asked Huey if Butcher told him what she told Butcher, and he was like, no, and she has to tell Huey. And it kind of says something about Butcher's character, right? Is he sees Huey as Lemmy, and he doesn't want anything to happen to Huey, but instead just doing what Starlight wanted him to do and coming out and telling Huey about the danger, his way of dealing with it is to just cold cock him and prevent him from coming with, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's he does the right thing, but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And Huey recognizes that as him being saved.
Yeah.
And he also gives Annie a chance to get an I told you so in.
Yeah.
She desperately wanted. This sets up kind of like a divide now. So you have Huey rejoining with Starlight and Mother's Milk and Frenchie and everybody. But then you have Butcher going with Soldier Boy. And now, we end up with a big meetup also with Maeve.
Oh, and there's an extra wrinkle too. Because I forgot to mention at the end of episode 7, Victoria Newman makes the deal with Homelander. She gives Homelander a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. We don't know what that's about until the finale where Homelander reunites with his son, Ryan. Apparently what Victoria Newman gave Homelander was Ryan's location. And this becomes really important going forward because Homelander is able to get Ryan to trust him again.
Mm-hmm. Partially because Butcher screwed up. When Butcher wanted to distance himself from Ryan,
yes,
he screwed up so bad that he made Ryan hate him.
He did in the Butcher way. Butcher's way seems to be when he truly cares about somebody, he does like these horrible antisocial things to make them hate him and distance themselves from him. That seems to be like Butcher's coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm. So he pushes Ryan away so hard that he runs right into Homelander's arms and Homelander comes for him. So now...
And then so when Butcher and Soldier Boy confront Homelander, Homelander has Ryan there and he gives Soldier Boy this whole speech about how they're like this one big happy family now. He's like, oh, look, you have a grandson. And it's real tense because you don't know what's going to happen there. And then when Soldier Boy walks over to Homelander, you're thinking, oh, he's going to join Homelander. But like he just, oh yeah, before that, like Soldier Boy gave the speech to Butcher about like where he came from and his father and how his father always thought he was weak. Even after he got superpowers and became a war hero, Soldier Boy said like his father was going on, oh, he took a shortcut to get there. And Soldier Boy tells Butcher that he doesn't want to be like that. That's not the father he wanted to be if he had kids. It's kind of like he's going to make this right. But then when he confronts Homelander, Soldier Boy does the same thing. Soldier Boy just says, you're too weak to be my son or something. He grabs him by the chin.
He says, what a disappointment.
Yeah, what a disappointment.
And that starts a conflict. Ryan eye lasers Soldier Boy because he's attacking Homelander.
Yeah.
Soldier Boy gets back up, knocks Ryan away with his shield pretty brutally, which causes like a weird, awkward team up between Soldier Boy and Butcher.
Yeah, for like
both laser.
Oh, Homelander and Butcher.
Yeah, Homelander and Butcher, who both laser Soldier Boy's shield.
Then it basically becomes a fight between Butcher and Soldier Boy, and then Maeve comes in. Then becomes like a two-way, like Maeve versus Homelander and Butcher versus Soldier Boy. And
Maeve
Butcher
loses an eye.
Yeah, Maeve loses an eye. Homelander like crushes her eyeball. It's pretty brutal. She gets some good hits in on Homelander though.
Yeah, she puts a pencil in his ear.
Meanwhile, Frenchie and Kimiko are breaking in. They're making more of that nerve agent that they need to take down Soldier Boy because Maeve got rid of like the nerve agent that they had previously. Mm-hmm. So like, what the fuck, Maeve? There's this great scene where like Starlight joins the fight between Soldier Boy and Butcher, right? And there's this great scene where Huey is up in the control room, like overlooking it, and he sees Soldier Boy going after Starlight, and he's holding the Temp V, and you can see he's clearly contemplating taking it and joining that fight himself, but instead he chooses to back up Starlight by turning up the lights full blast, amplifying her powers.
It's been a long time since we've covered how Starlight powers work. It took me a second to put it all together, but she absorbs light and energy.
Yes.
And that makes her more powerful. She's never taken in as much power as Huey gave her here by turning up all those stage lights.
Right.
It puts so much power into her that she like literally started floating off the ground.
Yes. And she unleashes a huge blast that knocks Soldier Boy on his ass. Doesn't do much else, but it knocks him on the ass and stuns them enough for the boys to get the jump on him and start getting him with that nerve agent.
Mm-hmm. He starts activating his nuclear option, I guess. Soldier Boy's nuclear option starts becoming active. It's looking bad for everybody.
It's looking bad for everybody. Maeve realizes what's going on and reluctantly drops her fight with Homelander to basically like grab Soldier Boy, jump out the window with him, and save everybody from the explosion.
Yeah, seemingly to both of their deaths. That's seemingly.
Yes, that's seemingly. Spoilers, neither of the parties dies in that explosion. I'm going to say,
Maeve does lose her powers, so.
Yeah, Maeve does lose her powers. I'm not quite sure how Maeve survived. It's obvious why Soldier Boy survived. One, like, he's detonated several times. It's never been established that his own detonations hurt him. He can't depower himself either. And since Soldier Boy is as invulnerable as Homelander or more, that fall wasn't going to hurt him anyway.
Yeah, they implied it did, though, but it didn't. Yeah. He's knocked out, though, and put into storage under Grace Mallory's protection. Basically being held the way he was in Russia, except, under Grace Mallory instead of the Russians.
Instead of the Russians, yeah, exactly. So it leaves open the possibility that he could come back. Maeve says she's going to go live in quiet solitude with her girlfriend. There's a scene where, Ashley is looking over security footage of after the blast, where she sees the boys picking up a still alive Maeve on the security cameras, and instead of, turning that over to Homelander or anything, Ashley makes the decision to delete it entirely.
Yeah, does it, immediately, and then looks over at her assistant and says, this, goes nowhere,
Yeah, this goes nowhere. Which, Ashley actually doing a human thing for once,
By the way, I was right. We had a scene with Ashley with her fucking bald head with, just strands of hair.
I knew that was gonna happen eventually with, how much she kept ripping out chunks of her hair, all season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as graphic as I thought it was gonna be.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be all
it's
bloody
funny
and
because
misshapen and shit.
It's funny because we should mention the one big event we didn't mention yet was Homelander killed Black Noir at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Black Noir came back to the tower ready to kill Soldier Boy, and Homelander learns that Black Noir knew all along that Soldier Boy was his father and never told him, and this is enough for Homelander to gank Black Noir and kill him.
I like the way they showed the cartoon characters greeting Black Noir as he's dying, saying they're proud of him, and the one's reflecting in the eye on his helmet.
Yeah.
And then you see him kind of fade out from the eye, and it kind of represents, the light going out of his eyes.
Yeah, the light going out of his eyes. He goes from doing that to confronting A-Train, the Deep, and Ashley, and basically telling them he thinks they're worthless, and he reveals to them he killed Black Noir. It was that scene where Homelander demands Ashley take off her wig.
He orders the Deep to do something. The Deep goes back and says that's treason.
Yeah.
And Homelander's basically I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't give a I told you to do it.
And what we find out that is that the Deep ends up killing the vice presidential candidate with Bobby Singer is running for president. And
Bobby Singer's, his potential VP pick, because I don't think he officially made a pick, but it was known within insider circles that he was going to be the pick. And we find out the second part of what happened at the end of episode 7. Victoria Newman deal with Homelander was she would give Homelander Ryan's information if Homelander made her competition for VP go away.
Mm-hmm. So she becomes the vice presidential pick for Robert Singer, putting her into a big position of power. That's also a comics thing because Victoria Newman is Victor Newman, I believe, in the comic books. It's a male character, and he's the vice president.
Yeah, he's the vice president in the comics. Yeah. And apparently at the end of it, the boys Sam Butcher officially inducts Starlight into their group. I like Frenchie saying, fuck Butcher, this is democracy now. We're all voting. Butcher comes back. Butcher actually was giving a diagnosis at the hospital that he has a short time to live.
About a year. I think they said 12 to 18 months.
12 to 18 months, they said. So he's got about a year to live. He goes back to the boys, kind of with his tail between his legs. Will you accept me back? He doesn't say that, but his mannerisms and his expressions say that. And then they see Victoria Newman on the TV announced as the vice presidential pick, and that's when Butcher states his intentions that, we're going after her now.
Yeah, we have to take her out.
we have to take her out. And so that looks like that's going to be one of the main focuses of season 4.
And the last scene we get in this episode, in this season 3 finale, is Homelander greeting his adoring MAGA-esque fan.
Yeah, they got MAGA
pro-storm posters and
he's saying we love you. He introduces Ryan to the crowd, and then a protester throws something and hits Ryan with it looked like a drink, some kind of drink, and they got a Starlight was right, me too, yellow shirt.
Mm-hmm.
They scream something, and Homelander, seeing Ryan hit with this, loses his shit and just lasers this person's head off. He completely loses control of himself and does that.
Everybody goes silent.
Yeah, everybody goes silent. And Homelander has this kind of oh shit look on his face. He doesn't know what's going to happen now. He's just kind of oh shit. And then Todd. Todd, man, the real villain of the entire series, he starts cheering, and then everybody starts cheering.
Yeah!
And then you see Homelander's look of uncertainty turn into a smile, and he starts cheering as well.
And worse yet, you see Ryan's face break into a smile, and some creepy music plays, and that's the end of the episode. So that's where we're leaving things off now. It looks like Ryan's in serious jeopardy. I don't mean like of his safety, but I mean like of his soul, basically.
Yeah, he's in serious jeopardy of becoming Homelander Part 2. As far as like any impact is what Homelander's action's going to have like on the larger world, not much.
Homelander, they literally did the Trump shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue quote.
Yeah.
And like literally played it out.
It's not going to have a much impact because bought news propaganda will twist it into Homelander protecting...
He was protecting his son.
He was protecting the Patriots from an Antifa terrorist.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they're going to end up doing, you know, because it's like that's kind of the direction things have been going in.
Right.
I will say one thing I was surprised about is like Stan Edgar just straight up disappeared after he left Vought. Like I thought he was going to play a part and we were going to see more of his plan and stuff, but like he just disappeared.
I do still think we're going to see more of his plan. I don't think we've seen the last of Stan Edgar. It just didn't happen this season. I heard some theories to that as be like, well, he was busy filming Better Call Saul at the same time.
Probably. It could be that he was, when actors have like a contract to do like a show or something, they have like priority listings. So like, for example, there was a character in the show The 100 that had to leave The 100. They had to kill off the character because she was also in Fear the Walking Dead and her contract for that show had it as her priority. And they had to film and the filming was happening at the same time. And so they had to kill her off of The 100 so she could be in Fear the Walking Dead, which she had to be contractually. So I imagine what might have happened is that either he had a priority in his contract for Better Call Saul, or he just preferred that because he owes a lot to Breaking Bad for his career. And when Bob Odenkirk had his heart attack and it delayed filming, it probably fucked up the schedules for both shows.
Yeah, it probably did. But from what I could tell so far from what they showed, his arc seems to be following the arc of his counterpart from the comics, James Stillwell, who is the CEO in the comics, who's basically his ultimate goal is he wants to get rid of the current superheroes because he sees them as irresponsible, pompous, self-absorbed celebrities, and he wants heroes he can better control instead. And part of that plan involved pushing Homelander over the edge to the point where, like, he goes nuts and kills the president and takes over the country.
Yeah.
It seems like he's doing in the show, but I hope we get more on that next season.
Yeah. I'm wondering where they're thinking their end game is for this show. If they got 2 more seasons or what, like what's going to be their end game on this show for the storyline? Because that'll kind of give us a better idea of if they're going to go that far. Because I don't think they're going to go Homelander going completely off his gourd like that. Unless it's like the final season.
I think they're saving that for the last season.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder what their end game is for that. I mean, like, for example, we talked about Stranger Things last week. Stranger Things season 5 is going to be its final season. So a lot of the stuff we got in Stranger Things season 4 makes sense because it's the penultimate season that we know, like, okay, now they've set up this, they've explained this backstory here, they've done that. And you get all those pieces together and now you know, okay, so now this is how we're going into the final season. If we don't know how many seasons are left in The Boys, then we don't really know what to use as a predictor of where things are going to go. I think we all kind of have an idea that Homelander has to lose it and go straight up power hungry in some way. That has to kind of happen. Whether it happens the way it did in the comics or not, that's, you know, who cares? But he has to go completely out of control before they take him down. You know, that's the way it's just going to end up being. And it's just a matter of seeing that come to fruition. Is the next season the last season? Or are there going to be 2 more seasons? Like, how is this going to play out? We don't know.
And Eric Kripke, you know, for his part, he has not put a cap on how many seasons he wants to do. Like, he's been asked, I don't think he's put a number to it. I think right now the plan is to go on as long as he feels like he can with this. And so
I'm just going to wildly predict 5 seasons.
Yeah, I'm going to predict 5 seasons. I'm going to predict next season takes a step back from the whole The Boys chasing Homelander. I don't think it's going to be a big part of next season. I think for now their focus is going to shift to Victoria Newman while other stuff happens. I do think we're going to get a fan favorite supernatural star in next season. You know who I'm talking about.
Of course. You're talking about Felicia Day.
Yes. No, come on.
Talking about Jared Padalecki.
No, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, John Winchester. Oh, okay.
He was supposed to have a cameo in this season.
I tossed you the ball. And
well,
yes.
But also Jared Padalecki is also rumored. Jared Padalecki has priorities because he's in Walker.
Yeah, he's in Walker. Here's the thing. If you've been reading Eric Kripke's interviews recently, you know Eric Kripke has said he's in active discussions with Jeffrey Dean Morgan to bring him on the show. Yeah. Jared Padalecki, all he said about Jared Padalecki is he'd like to get him on the show, but he's busy with Walker, Texas Ranger. I don't think any real discussions have happened there. Eric Kripke hasn't said that as much, but he said he is in active talks with Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I think in order for Jared Padalecki to work out in the show, in whatever season he comes, it either has to be a major role shooting at a different time than Walker, or it's going to be a cameo, but it's going to have to be after COVID lockdowns in Canada, the way they're
done.
Because that's what stopped Jeffrey Dean Morgan from being in this season of The Boys. He was supposed to have a cameo. I think he might have been the person that was supposed to play the Legend initially.
Maybe.
Because that was a short but important cameo.
Honestly, I'm glad that Jeffrey Dean Morgan didn't get that and that went to Paul Reiser, because Paul Reiser did that perfectly. Mm-hmm. And I think they could do a lot more with Jeffrey Dean Morgan than just like a small cameo in 2 episodes.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be. Like whether it was the Legend or not, it was supposed to be a small cameo. And the reason it didn't work out is because you have to do 2 weeks of isolation when you arrive in Canada because of COVID protocols.
Here's what I think they have planned for Jeffrey Dean Morgan in season 4. I think they're going to cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Tech Knight, which for those who don't know, Tech Knight is basically a combination
Iron Man, Batman.
Yeah, the Boys version of Iron Man and Batman. Basically, he's an irresponsible tech billionaire who puts on a freaking technological suit of armor and fights crime. And he has like this weird sexual disorder in the comics I don't think is going to translate to a TV show at all.
Yeah, the comics are super edgelordy. They haven't gone as far with almost anything as they do in the comics.
But if you think like an older like Tony Stark / Bruce Wayne type, Jeffrey Dean Morgan fits that to a T.
Based on the parallels they've already made, you know what they're going to do. They're going to base it on Elon Musk.
Yeah, they're going to base it on Elon Musk. Yeah, they're going to do that.
Homelander is Trump. They're going to make Tech Knight Elon.
And the reason I think they're doing that also is because they've already referenced Tech Knight 2 or 3 times over the course of the series. I think like there were 2 references in season 1 and then 1 reference in season 2. And they did the same thing with Soldier Boy. They made reference to Soldier Boy in season 2. And then they brought him in with Jensen Ackles. And so I think if they're going to introduce a new soup in season 4, my prediction is Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Tech Knight.
Yeah, well, we're probably going to see him regardless. Walking Dead, I think, is over now. I think it's officially over. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's officially over.
Or if not over, I think they finished filming at least. And whatever ends up happening with that, it doesn't matter. He no longer has that priority on his contract. So he can go to Canada to film a role now.
Also,
like I
Jeffrey
said, the
Dean
reason
Morgan
he couldn't do it
already
before is because it would have been 2 weeks of fucking isolation for COVID protocols for him to do what was going to be like a 1-day cameo.
Also, it makes perfect sense to get him on The Boys because he's already played an asshole superhero.
The comedian.
Yeah, the comedian. And Watchmen.
Yeah. But that's it for The Boys Season 3. Next week, we are going to be talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That is available on Disney+. So if you haven't watched it and you want to join in our conversation there, make sure to check that out on Disney+. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That'll be our next week's discussion. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. I am at Tyson Gifford on Twitter. Will is at Voxel Hero. That's the best place you can reach us. If you want to send us a comment, please do. Good, bad, or indifferent. We would enjoy any feedback. But this is it for our week's podcast, so thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Little Screen. Visit our website at thetittlescreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.